I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in what was once a dream. So if I do some quick math, the future equals a dream come true. Since 1992, In All Honesty, a podcast by OLAVEORAWO.
Welcome to another episode, if not the last episode of the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is OLAVEORAWO, and I'm here with two beautiful people. Wacha mwanze kusikia maoni yao juu ya Mungu mjue kama bado ni beautiful.
Our beauty doesn't rely on your belief in God.
And on this episode, this is actually a 2.0. We already did an episode on why I left church. Yeah. Why I left church, and people felt like we hatukuwa tumeifanya exhaustively. So now we've come back with this episode and we're going to get into it. But first of all, introduce yourselves as you'd like to be known. We can start with Marylize.
Hi, everybody. It's me again. I'm still Marylize. And I'm glad to be back here. I'm excited for the topic because, the topic is a mindfuck and I love that.
But of course, Adrian.
All right. I'm Adrian Kibai. And I'm also happy to be here.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So today we are talking about reasons why I left faith or reasons why I left church, or rather just the experience in general. And I think today we'll go into more of the, what are they called? The phenomenons, the concepts, basically the cultural things around faith and church. But first, we can start with our very own stories, where we are at right now, and when we left the church, or how that experience was.
All right.
Maybe if I start, it makes it easier. Mimi sijui, guys. Uniombe.
Tukuombe wapi?
People are gonna come for you.
Tukuombe wapi?
But I can say let me start with this, and maybe it will trigger something for you guys. The first, I grew up in a church called Nitawanika Nyinyi AIC Fellowship in Eldoret. AIC Fellowship in Eldoret. So I grew up in that church. What I didn't realize at the time, and why church sounded okay to me, is because it's a very elitist church. And I didn't know. It's church for Biwott and Moi. And when now my eyes started to open, or rather I was always uncomfortable, but I just didn't know why. And also you're taught not to question. When I got to a point where my eyes opened, I felt like, wait a minute, hii kanisa ingekuwa hauna pesa, the treatment is not the same, because there's a way. What triggered me so much is there's this family that used to be called the Turkana family, and they were some sort of token. It was just like when someone is doing something, the Turkana family is paraded in front of the church. Yani, they are being helped. So there's this token that is constantly. And I felt like when people say poverty has no dignity, that's what they mean. And for me, that's what started unsettling me so much. Where I was just like, if we really, like, even as we were doing well, my family, we were a decent family. We were not Biwott rich. But my dad afforded school fees. So maybe just being in that caliber, maybe we didn't see the other side of the church, because we've seen people who have stories about the church, are people who maybe tragedy struck at home, and then you turned to the church and you realized, kama we si mtu uko na kakiru, the church does not consider you worth helping. Or rather, that's when you see the true colors. So for me, I looked at it in that sense. And for me, I was also like, I know I'm a very lucky girl. Honestly, kama kuna mtu Mungu amebariki ni mimi. But I was just like, mbona Mungu abariki hao wengine walifanya nini?
Umetosheka.
Mungu bariki wengine. So that was one of the aspects, and I don't know if it triggers anything for you. Very elitist.
I think for me, just arriving at a place where I was like, to go off of why I left church. But like church has never been with me. So arriving at a place where church has never really been with me, the concept of it is a big fallacy, if you may. And we live in a world that, yes, a lot of things can happen to people. Tragedies strike, and boy, do I have a fair share of those. I've shared some of them here. So some of you probably think I'm your BFF, I'm your sister, I'm your sibling, I'm whatever it is you think I am to you. I am that and more. And because of those things, it is true again that when a human being is going through, any kind of, animosity, some experiences, some tragedies, you need community, right? The only thing I don't like is the narrative that has been created that church gives that community, because truly, church doesn't. You have, just like how capitalism works, just like the 1% who owns the wealth that the whole world of 8.8 plus billion people should be owning operates. You have to please the 1%. You have to kiss us. You have to do a number of things to meet the criteria, to meet the threshold of why you can even talk to them and why they can even listen to you and why they can even do anything about your situation. And so I guess the not having the DNA in me to kiss us has always existed. So when you begin to learn while growing up that, I really need to do a lot of this to be accepted here, to belong here. But also church does a lot of betraying. As a child who grew up in a Catholic home, too much Catholic if you ask me, because father, mother, both from Catholic backgrounds, so too much Catholic happening in the family. And the only time I saw or experienced any other kinds of religions was when like some of my cousins or my aunts are married now to different households with people who have different diverse religions, and that's when I started seeing other religions. But what stood out for me is how, regardless of how different religions, how different churches, how different beliefs are, they all agree on the same thing. When things like abuse happen in the society, they keep quiet, right?
Together.
In Kenya, currently, we are protesting. People have been killed, and we've seen church remain quiet about that. And even when they speak, they don't speak in a language that ensures it puts value on the lives that we've lost because of this protest, because someone is responsible for them. And so for me, church has never been with the people. Church is just another business person wanting to make the most out of the situation. And they lure you into believing that they're on the same side, just like Ruto lured all of us. He's a hustler like us. No, that man ain't.
He did not
And now
lure
we are
me.
here.
I voted for Ajakoya.
Sadly, the thing about democracy... Sadly, the thing about democracy is, even if he didn't lure you, if he gets into the office, we are all one and the same. So we are all here suffering the consequences. And I feel like church operates like that. So for me, why I left church is when I realized church has never been with me. And I do believe in any kind of relationship I engage myself with, people, things, you name it. It has to be mutual. I have to be where I'm wanted, and the people have to be where they are wanted. I have to want them, and they have to want me. Church never wanted me. So it's an easy journey for me. It's like it doesn't matter. Lost nothing, really. Yeah.
Well, is there something like too much AIC? Yeah.
To pay Adventist.
Because if I speak, I think I come from a very strong Adventist background.
Yeah.
And there's something as too much SDA also. Because where? You grow up not knowing the small pleasures of life.
Yes.
At least nyinyi mlikuwa mnakunywa majani na kahawa.
Na divai na mwili wa Kristo.
Hata kama mlikuwa at least mlikuwa mnaonyeshwa divai kidogo unajua.
Wait, Adventist doesn't have that nini the Lord's table?
No, they do, but it's not fermented.
For
It's not fermented. Yeah, ilikuwa na pombe.
No, see, it's alcohol.
No.
It's wine. It's wine. But for them it wasn't.
Ushaikunywa altar wine?
Yes, and I really like
it's actually inebriating.
No, it's
but then again, the SDA one is not the altar wine you drink. It's just
it doesn't have alcohol.
No alcohol content.
Guys, let me plug you. Enda ununue church wine.
Yeah,
utafuta hata sai kwa junior party ama. Okay, yes.
Yeah, and then there's a way they make the bread also so that it doesn't ferment. It doesn't have any unleavened bread in its own way. Yeah.
It's a joke. They denied you a high from when you were young.
From everything. Bana, hata karibu Royco watoe. God damn it. You know, there's a period in life sikula nyama for a long time. I think high school yote. But it's not because of faith.
And that was...
It's not because of faith, really. It's mostly because when you grow up around a home that you barely see meat, it stops being a part of your... something that you look forward to or anything. So my dad wasn't eating meat. When my mom eats meat, it's not even at home. It's probably somewhere out there. Yeah. So eventually, kabla muone nyama, it's probably once a week. Kenye mngeona mingi ni kuku. We had a lot of chicken.
Oh, chicken is... Also, there's meat chicken. That are
white meat is... Nyinyi mmesikia mambo ya LNG white nyinyi. Msianzi.
So nyinyi pia mko na halal?
Well, not really halal, but there's a doctrine about health and temperance.
Yeah.
That dictates how much red meat you can eat to just stay healthy and live a longer life, blah, blah, blah. But it's all about health and temperance, not really a Biblia really sema. It's just about looking out for your health. But here, ilikuwa inapelekwa, sasa unajua ukimix one tidbit fact about life, na umix na religion. Wana blow up kabisa inakaa ni kama sasa kula nyama ni
kidogo tu. Like gani?
Ni kitan. Ni one direction alive. Zinatakaga kuwa omnidirectional.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8
then kitan. Maybe.
Ufai kufikiria.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Unafikiria kitu sana.
Maybe thinking is the problem.
Yeah. Sababu amesema kafa kaka.
Ignorance is bliss. Don't say we're joking.
So, are we good? Yeah. So now, unapata a little bit of religion mixed with a little bit of facts about life in a blown up into something preposterous. Sasa shida ni, that I certainly digress. Growing up in religion, I realize as you grow up, things were beautiful, things were nice. Watch you grow up. Wait until you become an adult, and then probably see how your parents are treated, or how someone is treated, or other kids from maybe less privileged families are treated. And then you see maybe if, for instance, when SDA, it's majorly... most of the people in there are from Luo Nyanza or Kisi Nyanza or Western Kidogo, and then there's a sprinkle of Kuyos here and there, especially in Nairobi, where you'd expect it to be metropolitan. Utapata the people from maybe Central or other areas where other religions are dominating, utapata ni wachache. So one day unapata they become the marginalized community in church.
Marginalization in church.
Yeah. Now they have to learn a few Luo words or Kisi words or Lili words, because at some point everybody is conversing in their mother tongue, and then mnabaki zile za I have no one to talk to.
Na float.
Yeah, my family is the only Kuyo family, or my family is the only other tribe family.
Yeah.
And it was off. Yeah, it was off. And then my problem with this kind of setting, unapata mtu anaweza simamia kitu. Tuseme for instance, you stand for something, and then the church actively tries to railroad you into doing what they want you to do. It goes against doctrine, it goes against our fundamental beliefs. Nini. Imagine you'll get kutolewa kanisani.
Excommunicated.
Imagine you'll get excommunicated. There was an elder one time, I think we are related kwa umbali. Imagine alifukuzwa kanisa
because he stood for
something. Everybody else, and this is what I'm saying, there's no bigger hate than Christian love.
Yeah.
Please.
There's no bigger hate than Christian love. But once you start seeing their true colors,
Hey.
I saw yesterday someone posted.
They are not very Christ-like, bwana. I mean, at least our baby Nyaunyo anatandika watu kanisani, but nothing is Christ-like. Nothing is Christ-like about.
Sometimes alichapwa tu na Nyaunyo uone hiyo injury ujui kipona imemaliza. Yeah. Kuna hiki chapo na chapwa internal, you guy, my guy, you walk with pain, it's not visible, you can't explain it, and
my most recent experience just before now I started, moving away further and further from the church is tukiwa youth. You've decided, okay, maybe I might be interested in being actively participating in church activities, nini. Because once you get baptized, you can pick a role. Yeah, and the first baptism is a whole process. It's not kumiminiwa maji, kunyunyiziwa maji kama the Cathos.
Na drowniwa.
Sisi yetu, it's you have to go through what probably you guys would call catechism. Ours is you have to go through a whole process ya kufunzwa fundamental beliefs of the church, doctrines, nini. And if you question anything, you go back to square one and start again. Mimi nilikuwa one of the questionnaires. I'd call bullshit.
Yeah.
I'd call bullshit. I'd be like, wewe mwenye unaniambia hizi vitu, does it make sense to you? You're the adult here, bwana. Act like it. I mean, surely. So when I questioned, kila time, I wouldn't graduate to go get baptized. I was like, phew, I dodged that one. Because why am I just saying yes without there should be room for questioning, as you had said. Kunafaa kuwa na some room for questioning that see ati my whole trajectory in the faith itakuwa compromised.
Even
because
if it's not questions, it's an interaction.
Yes.
Why is it one way?
Tell me why this and this and this is considered not, it's kind of faux pas or it's wrong-ish. So just don't do it or avoid it. Tell me, I'm an adult. As in, at least niko na comprehensive mind.
I can comprehend bad from good and all that.
Yeah,
just tell me
way.
And then leave it at that.
Yeah. Hey, but how? Well, nilikaa your class, I think, for 4 or 5 years.
What we overlooked
watu wengine walikaa 1 year.
What I think we also overlooked in such situations is that even the people who were now teaching us, those Sunday school teachers, the preachers, or rather the people who are elders or leaders, they themselves didn't know the answers to these things. They too were following blindly. So when you come and ask, ni kama vile ukiuliza mwalimu swali na hakuwa anajua, alikuwa hiyo kidogo alikuwa overlook, they get so mad.
Because
it's like right, you're humiliating them. They don't take it as my chance to learn.
I was the young Sheldon of the class.
We stand a young Sheldon anywhere.
I was the young Sheldon of the class then.
Yeah.
But sasa now growing up unapata mnaingia kwa kwaya nini shughuli kama hizo So mimi nikaingia kwaya fulani. That choir became a whole point of controversy.
He can sing.
Oh yeah.
Umesikia hiyo?
Well, So tumeingia kwaya, tumeenda, we are going places now, tumeshikana mpaka na East African kwaya nini. Church elders wakaanza kuleta siasa. Mbona mnatoka kanisa? You see now our church lasts the whole day, yeah. So si tutatoka labda afternoon, yeah. Si tutatoka afternoon tuende mahali tuprakoma tufanya kitu na other groups who are also participating. Well, ilileta siasa. Msiende unsupervised. Sasa to them in their heads, tumeenda kudunda.
Yeah.
If you are unsupervised, tumeenda kudunda. Do you know it came to a point pastor mpaka akajam. Kwa sababu we were growing more independent and by the day, kila time wanatunyima 1 or 2 3 facilities, you see the church should back you.
Yeah.
Wakitunyima 1 or 2 3 things, tunaenda our own way. So
The
eventually
leash kept on becoming longer.
Yep. Eventually wakadiscover these people, we can't control them anymore. We almost also excommunicated. Because
kanisa na excess.
Bana na wanakufukuzaga haraka, as in there's no chance of redemption or anything. Jina kwetu inakuwaga as bad as jina inatolewa kwa kitabu ya kanisa.
Kuna kitabu ya kanisa.
Yes, church membership. Ours goes as guy. So you see where you're baptized.
Yeah.
Where you're baptized, your name is with that church. And if you want to change membership, you have to write to both churches that huko unataka kutoka na huko unataka kwenda. Then they communicate, then they move your name so that you can be an active member of the church even when you move there.
That's what, because there was a case of someone who was saying they were being asked, they were moving churches, and at the time they were being asked to pay tithe for both churches.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
And
see,
so
capitalism wewe.
So local church budget wanaangalia, this is new, hii ni nyama mpya imeleta sadaka. So kuna zaka na kuna sadaka. Yeah, there's tithe and there's offering. Yeah. So ukienda hiyo church ingine wapeleka sadaka. Uzuri sadaka zetu ni centralized, so hakuna gati ile ni ya hii kanisa. Kenya inabaki ni offering. Local church budget pretty much tithe inaendaga straight up
national government.
To the general to
the national, in this case we have county governments and national government. Tithe zote zinaenda national, offering does inabaki kwa county.
And hata si offering yote local church budget pekee. Yeah, hizo zingine zote ziko na kazi pia. They are assigned already. Yeah. So unapata, if you're stricken from the book of the church, you have to get rebaptized to come back.
Why is everything giving root? Or like he gave us the same cabinet he
God damn it.
He's using the church, whatever.
Do you know, imagine one day you are an elder, the next day you're not, and you have to come back because elders are the ones who do the baptism classes. Imagine now you have to come back, go through baptism class. Then you ulikuwa unafunza before. Ufunzwe.
Afu batizwe.
Hi.
But don't people, I think, I got to a point where I made peace with the fact that people who are deep into faith have a humiliation kink of sorts.
Absolutely.
Because ain't no way you're taking some of those things. Yeah.
Humiliation kink. And there's a conversation we've been having about how the only time when you're having conversations about queer people, the only time men become uncomfortable is if you insinuate uncomfortable with each other is if you insinuate queerness. But also church embodies the aspect of how men thrive in other men's glory. Just sit and watch.
Yeah.
Just sit and observe the concept of, like, for example, I mean, I'll always depart from Catholicism because that's what I knew. To be a priest in Catholic, like to be a priest, to be a catechist, there's these roles that play fundamental continuation of Catholicism. They're held by men.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the serving roles, it's where we have the nuns, my sisters and all. And for them, their specific role there is to serve the men.
Yeah.
But only men commune with each other. And the depths of it is that the foundations of this is very gross, because then that's where we begin to have conversations about cases of defilement and pedophilia that happen within the Catholic Church. And then, like, even the concept of elders, it's how in Catholic Church, women elders are not a thing. Men elders are a thing, and they sit together and addressing different issues like, you know, pedophilia, defilement, and all that kind of stuff. They sit and they laugh about it and they consider it a non-issue. It's only when you insinuate homosexuality, that's when they'll be like, hey, stay away from me.
Yeah.
But other than that, they commune, they share everything all together.
It's a brotherly love.
Yeah.
And you know what piggybanking off your point.
Yeah.
You've just brought up the idea that I also felt like church was not advocating for women.
It wasn't.
Church
ever.
was a very oppressive place for women. And I remember there's someone who even gave the example of the Pope, whatever. See, they were now calling out that the Pope would be gay. But you'd rather have a gay person who... imagine how queerness is demonized, but you'd rather have a gay
man as a pope than a woman.
That's how deep I got to understand how church is not for women. And for us, there were things that maybe to say my to mimi, I'm a lazy girl. That's why I clocked on this one. But I was just like, why is it always us doing the pastor nafa kusaviwa? There's an outreach where people are supposed to be these things. Service was very much women. And if I look at what men are doing, they've assembled to pray for the women who've gone for outreach. It's okay.
You will be okay.
But it's not that's one way to look at it. Although there's it's usually kama there's hard labor, something men will be more capable of doing than they do it. Alafu unapata kama division of labor kind of sort of. Although it in overextend to a point where if your roles in this division of labor are seen to be less than, you don't get church leadership, you don't get all that, and that's where now the sexism comes in. So unapata kama role yako ni kunipakulia chakula na yangu ni ya kuinua heavy things. Who's the leader?
And also on your same point, church and free services.
I know.
Kama unacheza guitar kwa kanisa, please lipwa.
You're doing it for good.
Unatoka kwenye unatoka, you take your time.
Oh yeah, but what's up with that?
Transport. You get there for practice. I don't know how many times you go for practice during the week before you now play on church on Sunday. You're not being given anything.
This
there
also
are people
applies
who I know
to
are sleeping hungry, and they play for the church.
This also applies to
choir.
Organizations, individuals who think they're entitled to your labor. It's literally the same concept.
Yeah.
They feel like, come, I'm giving you exposure. Dude, I'm exposed. That's how you met me. That's how you know about me. Pay me for that shit.
My landlord does not accept exposure.
My landlord now knows me because I'm exposed and I can't pay my landlord. Do you even have... Come on now. I'm exposed enough. Just pay me. I'll find exposure somewhere else.
But I've always wondered. I think in the Adventist church, the best you'll have is a pianist or a keyboardist.
Yeah.
And it ends there.
But because our church, we had youth volunteering to wash the church. And I'm thinking right now, there was funds there was offerings. This church was making money. There were, what is it called? The church has opened schools. The church has opened a hotel. The parking lot is being used as a car park so they charge for parking during the week. And on Sundays, youth can offer to wash cars and that is paid. There is money that's being collected from this church, but somehow you can't afford to hire cleaners.
Yeah. And of course, for you to need a volunteer for that role, it means you're recognizing there's a gap. Make it a position.
Yeah.
Come have an arrangement of a salary. get people to do it and pay them.
But you know what I realized? The church is thriving on ignorance, because there's a time I argued with my mom paka tukakatiana simu, and I was telling her, why are you sending money to the church? I was so mad.
That slippers would have found you. That slipper would have found you.
Because I find a podcast ya trauma.
I think bado slipper iko kwa hewa inakuja. Wewe ngoja. I think inakuja.
But we were arguing over. I told my mom, stop sending money to church. The church has money, and our church is organized like Yao, the Adventist. There's a central system, and there's branches, there's whatevers. I was telling my mom, pastors have a salary. My mom refused. My mom believes the way it's written in the Bible. Ni ule Elijah mwenye alilishwa na sijui mama mgani kwa desert. They believe that it's our role to make sure the pastors are okay.
Na si mshahara hiyo ni
so it's you who has. That's why it all came back to me, and I realized, in our church in AIC, when a pastor comes in, another whole whatever. When a pastor comes in, they're built for a church, they're built for a house, they're bought for a car. Yes, permanent residence. So later on, when I met a friend,
they're pastor for that church to death.
So here comes now the explanation for that. See, you're supposed to be circulated. So I met a friend later on in life when I was 23. And her dad is the pastor to another AIC church that's not as elite as ours. And she says, for you to be a pastor at our church, you must have played major politics. And once you get there, there's literally fighting and all of that for someone to stay in that church because of the perks that particular branch offers. And her father has seen the most outside here. Akiwa yati yeye anaserve Mungu faithfully. Wamelala nje akisaivu huyo Mungu wake, while being a pastor in the very same church that even I go to. So you understand the dynamics of church. Faith is not for poor people. When they say your mansion is in heaven, you understand why they didn't say Ashanti. If you're living in Ashanti here on earth, faith is not for you.
As much as it's the opium, for the masses. It's the opium for the masses, but let me tell you something. Unajua, hata kwetu they reshuffle the pastors.
Yeah.
Of course, pia wao unajua tu vile wakisi wanapenda shamba.
Hiyo nimejua leo.
Awanagi shamba mahali na ikae tu, watanunua. And they'll buy the whole block, all of them. So definitely most passes will be majority Kisii, Luo, etc. Oh, by the way, fun fact, do you know most people think that SDA is the only denomination in Kisii, as in among the Kisii community?
I wanted to say
Same
that
here.
when you were talking about...
There are more Catholics than SDAs.
I was in...
Oh.
Yeah. We had a cardinal.
When I was...
the presentation
Otunga, yes, Cardinal Otunga. And then, Nini, when I was in high school, I only believed SDA is only for Kisii.
Yeah. Or rather Kisii is only
na kuimba kisimka. I never understood it. And then when I left high school is when I learned, okay, not when I learned a new reality. And until today, I've only ever known SDA to be only for Kisiis and Luos.
True. Yeah.
Nope.
Same here.
It's global.
I'm actually yet to meet, even with my 31 years, I'm yet to meet a Kikuyu SDA.
We had a lot of
life.
those. We had a lot of those.
When he was explaining, that's why I wanted to say.
That's why I was
when
like,
he was explaining and was saying Kikuyu, I was like, you have Kikuyu.
Yeah, we had a lot of those. Even Embus, even...
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, you see, Nairobi is metropolitan. Yeah. The church will be very diverse. Unapata... It ranges from some Bukusu guy or downright to someone from Embu, some Kuyo, going all the way to coast, tunapata kuna watu. And it might not be the dominant religion in some areas, but in some, of course, you'll always find that one group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, mambo ya dini, unajua politics yenye mlikuwa nasema before we digressed, it's so bad that it shows you exactly who people are.
Yes.
Unapata mtu ako na resources za kanisa, si pesa yake si pesa yake, resources za kanisa. Unapata anazilimit just so that they can play politics. Haya, unapata, unajua elders kwetu hawalipwi. Elders don't get paid. They only get to manage things that I don't even, sidani zinakuwaga na any kickback. They just want power.
Yeah, that's true.
That power tu ndio wanataka. So in bigger churches, smaller churches hasnaga so much politics when it comes to today you're an elder, tomorrow you can be a deacon, tomorrow you can be something else. Big churches unapata wako na elders kama 20.
Yeah.
And to get to that 20, juu sasa unajua wewe utakuwa umekalia kiti kwa church board, utakuwa kwanza sasa hapo kwa church board ndio politics sasa uko imeingia hivi vizuri. Huko ndio hao ndio watu wa kufukuza watu kanisa. Hao ndio disciplinarians, sijui wanafanya nini by the.
Yeah,
if you ever get to sit in a church board as an observer, you'll see the true colors of the people leading you in that church, because suddenly they want to kandamiza any dissenting voice. Suddenly so you see the youths have a lot of growing pains.
Yeah.
Unapata show them the way badala ya kuwafanya ni kama wakae ni kama hawana independent thought. Ama they can't know better. Show them the way then badala ya kuwa repress.
Yeah.
So unapata hizo church body hizo karibu nitupe mayai huko. Because
I was also saying
it really and it brings us, I think, to the topic why we grew away from the church, because these people are very hateful, bwana.
I've always questioned if people of the cloth really do believe in God.
I also asked them.
I've always felt like they must be atheist, because there's no way they believe in the existence of hell. And they still do the things they do, or rather consequences.
Especially in the name of God.
Yeah, there's no way they... You want to tell me Ruto believes
I don't even associate them with atheism, because I feel like there's an aspect of feeling whatever emotions you feel towards people and kindness and all that with the atheists. I feel like there's a level of, for now, the only vivid but also reference that I can use that makes sense to everyone, like cops, they operate. It's like the whole script of their job is to be unhinged, to not care, to not give a shit, to not feel, and in cases where you do, it's when you become that cop that easily leaves or loses their job or gets affected, or like something will just give. But in the grand scheme of things, it's almost as if they have to not care. And again, like I said, I'll use being a Catholic as an example. If there was an ounce of care in them, given how we are told religion is, or the foundation, what we are told is the foundation of religion and the belief in God and church and all that, why then is a lot of violence happening within church? Like, how is the same person saying they're teaching you the way to the Lord, the same person who is a pedophile? And there's many things we can attach to that. He's an abuser. We can leave that there. But like, where is the part where it's a child? You don't want to protect that child. You want to harm that child. Where is the part where you are supposed to be the one who helps this child figure their life out? And when they're in church, when they're in the pulpit, they're standing there, children are seen as this, children are angels, they're a gift and all that. But like, immediately they go behind that closed door, behind the pulpit, and they remove their whatever. Whether they remove it or not, I do not know. But like, whatever happens, what changes that the same person you say has an ounce of love towards humanity in general, because they make us believe that they're guiding us through being good human beings and what humanity is. But like, where does that humanity get lost? You can't tell me it's a thing you can wear and remove anytime you feel like.
Akitoa tu hiyo kaso kivi fangs zinatokea.
You can't tell me.
Na ulimi inakuwa split.
You can't tell me someone can be. It's like, use an example of serial killers. Yes, they do kill because they're cold-hearted, but they end up being caught. Because it's not easy to keep up that facade all your life. So the fact that these people are able to keep up that facade to their deaths. I had an aunt, probably one of the things that gave me so much peace is not having the association I had with my family anymore, because there's so much bullshit to make reference from. I had an aunt who had children with a Catholic father. And the family knew. Yes.
Ukisema father, just try and
the reason I say father is because
be a little specific, because father ni baba.
No, the reason I say father is because anyone who is a Catholic knows wanaitwanga father.
I know, but as in a father would also be
the priest. Yeah, I have an aunt who had children with him, and to the congregation and like people within the same locality, it was a rumor. But to the family, it was known. And she would go to clubs with this man. They would sit and drink, and it was difficult for people. People gaslight themselves into believing that couldn't be him. He can't even be in a club, And so... And then you grow up and you realize that's some fuck shit that I believed then. I was like, what do you guys mean? And how does this person then constantly finds a way to have the courage, the confidence to stand in front of people, which is another thing. Leaving the church is just telling yourself, bitch, you can't be stupid anymore. You know this shit. You know who these people are.
And that plays into the point of, Guy, I don't know why I've come across these videos, so many of them. When people are saying religion breeds lack of accountability. A lot of people will do things to people, they'll do the worst things, and then they'll come and say it was the devil. Ama Mungu sasa amenibadilisha. What about the child you abused? What about the person who's fighting through therapy and trauma because you did something to them, but now God has forgiven you? And that's something that a lot of people need to look at and realize that will continue to harm you, because Christians are out here doing the most, and then they know so long as God will forgive them. So you can imagine even them going into the world knowing that they don't owe you an apology or an accountability. They owe only God. And they always say it, only God can judge me. Only God. Judgment is for the Lord. Vengeance is for the Lord.
Until you're revenging
Christians
upon them.
are counting on religion to just escape accountability a lot of times. And I don't know when people will clock it, because I've even seen someone literally jana on Facebook akiambiwa, leave it to God, vengeance is for the Lord. And I was saying, be petty.
Go revenge.
Go pour ants.
If God comes and revenges 2 times, a revenge is better than nothing.
God forgives, I don't. Simple.
You said that, and I remember this post I did, and I was so pissed. It was just on July 5th. It's just because of this protest. And I it was after Ruto had made his statement, the first statement, and then he comes, and he says we are doing treasonous activities, and then he comes back to apologize, and I was like, no, apologies vindicate the perpetrator, but it never restores a victim. His apology never brought back the people he killed. In fact, he has gone ahead to kill more, and that's the problem I have with the church too. Church makes apology seem like a grand thing and literally ignores accountability.
It is sorry.
So if you apologize, you're good. Nobody thinks of the victim. And I speak this hugely, like I was saying, going through different tragedies. I speak hugely as a person who, not only did I realize church is not with me, so I don't have a reason to be with the church, but also there's so much trauma that church caused. There's so much violence that happened, and church was the foundation of why it was okay for me to go through that violence. And so I look at it and I'm like, you people take apologies seriously. And everyone apologizes to everyone except the victims. Because
you even confess. You go and make confessions in front
to a priest. Why can't you go confess to the person? Because the person who you harmed said you harmed them, and everyone gaslit them into believing it wasn't true because you said it wasn't true. But you're going to make a confession to the priest. You're forgetting the most important confession is to the person you harmed.
But
make amends.
Yes.
Look at the guy who used to harvest women's breasts. Yeah. And now he's doing a media tour telling people what he used to, and you're laughing. And now because he's found God, he's literally confessing something that he should be in jail for. On media, you have evidence. If right now he was to be taken to jail, you'd have to use any of his interviews that he's gone to put him in jail. But because this person has now come out after he's left that life, he's now confessing to the entire world. People have lost lives. People have been in hospital. Their lives have completely changed because of something you are doing. Now you've come to do a media interview of how God had saved you from all the harm you've caused to people. Wakuiba kaburi.
There's one mwenye alikuwaga hapa downtown. Alikuwa na ubiri venye alikuwaga kitambo anaingia kwa coffin, sijui anafanya upuzi gani. You know what radicalized me? What really pushed me to the edge ile is when now I decided to go deeper and find out about church history.
My Lord.
More people have been killed in the name of God than anything else. Yani ile tu unaona kinyo mnaongelea kuhusu accountability ilikuwa out of the window. Colonialism, same thing. They really did a number on us in the course of about 50 years or so with just colonialism and missionary bullshit. They give you a Bible, unafunga macho, ukifungua you don't have your lands. and common sense has flown out of the window. Even now, as we come to more recent times, unapata the church dictates. There's this unholy marriage between the church and state that is very bad.
That is not even constitutional.
It shouldn't. Both are very independent.
How did we have 200 intercessors hired on taxpayer money?
Na walikuwa nakula kama 150, 200 per month.
Or even how did we get to places where leaders, especially presidents, don't assent bills to laws before they speak to church leaders? That is the most unconstitutional shit ever.
And Kenya is not a Christian country.
It's not a Christian state. It's a secular state. Kenya is a secular state.
We got to do better.
Kenya is a secular state. You see the way you see these countries ambazo the religion is a fundamental part of yetu. Sasa unaona hakuita my mom so that you can know this was not genuinely them looking for community to contribute as semi-public participation in that way. Hii walitaka tu kujisuit wenyewe. Waseme Mungu anasema aje kuhusu hii mambo. Mungu wako si wa huyu. Huyu ndo tunakubali for now. Do you guys ever see us having say a president of a Muslim Muislamu? Mnaona tukiwahi kuwa na rais Muislamu kweli?
I've never even thought about it, but then now that you've asked, I don't.
Ama tulete to Obama.
I have thought
it will be the closest to say it.
I have thought about it, and how I think about it is, it's not impossible. See, like the way we've started, and I know there's not many of us. We like to think there's many of us, but many of you are like, now things seem better. You all settle for shit. That's why you're still with your toxic partners. Still hang on to your exes that were terrible. You still think your parents are amazing when all they've ever done is abuse you.
Kanyaga shingo.
You settle so much, yet you have this one life that you're supposed to live it like it's your stage, because it really is. But here you are settling. And I think if we all went by what we are asking for currently, when we are saying Ruto must go, we are saying we want Ruto gone, and we want everything that has to do with the leaders we've known as leaders gone. We don't mind pulling Onezwa or Narasmith. Whichever side you are, it's okay, guys. Kama uko kwa Onezwa, bado ni scratch. Kama ni Narasmith, bado ni scratch. Ama ni foraging. Even if you go forage for your leaders, can we just be confident enough to begin foraging for this shit? Like, can we go to the ground? Because there's a lot of young people doing amazing work. There's a lot of young people holding big organizations, and they're doing proper leadership jobs. These people are capable of leadership. Yeah. All they change is the office. All they change is the mandate. But all they're doing is the same thing. It's leadership. But you hang on and thinking. I've had so many people asking, after Ruto goes, what do we do? God went and we are here, we are fine. See, you people believe God came and went. Where did he go? Because he's not listening to you people.
We figured.
Anawasikiza kweli. Tungekuwa hapa kama angekuwa anatusikiza.
Watasema you're being ableist.
I'm being ableist too.
He's probably deaf.
If they come for you, I'm not.
This podcast is not inclusive.
Even if he is deaf, sign language, guys. Have we not been doing all the signs that tumechoka na Ruto na uwezi tutolea, but you're letting that man use you as you.
Kwanza, you have mentioned something very nice. What's with these churches in the estates blaring music at odd hours? Sunday mzima hata uwezi kaa kwa nyumba.
And where did the regulation for not having churches within residential?
Mkipata hii video YouTube, mkiscroll, mkitafuta God wenye na izaleta juu nimetaja God. Utukufu sanctuary. Zimeni hiyo kitu. Zimeni hiyo kitu. Munatupea stress.
Ni mbichi.
Mwachane na Mungu.
Because why do you have to shout at the top of your voices if he actually hears the thoughts of your heart?
Unasumbua watu wengine. Okay, fine. Wana shout. Eka soundproof kwa chashi yenyu mwache kutupigia kelele bana.
Juu imagine ingekuwa ni club iko hapo kando hiyo kanisa.
Ama unilipi rent.
Right? Because they're right in your ear on a Sunday afternoon. Manze.
There's a whole week coming, you're trying to rest. Midnight. Kwanza leo ni Friday. Jana walikesha usiku mzima.
Ni Friday. Wait.
Leo ni Saturday.
Oh, hey. I thought I missed that whole Sunday.
You missed that.
God reminding him.
Nah, kama wataangalia YouTube.
Yeah, please.
Good for them. But
please.
Mimi I just want to wafunge hizo horn speaker wanafunga kwa marufu za kanisa. Wa face them inwards.
Give us a break.
If they really like hearing,
saying if we streamline our governance in the country, these things would not exist.
Exactly.
Because if I remember right, there was either a bill or a law where churches cannot be in residential areas. Me, I'm very keen when I'm looking for houses. And the house that I got right now, I got it and I asked and I walked for a few kilometers to find out if there's a church. And there was no church. Yeah. Tell me why 6 months, 8 months there's a church now. Tell me why.
walikuwa na kuseduce tu. Mkwambia come baby come. We'll show you things.
Haijajengwa. Literally me, I saw one day a tent is being put up. I was like, is it? Labda ni mtu ame.
Labda ni gig.
Friday kesha. Saturday rehearsal. Sunday choir.
Monday sijui nini. Tuesday kila siku guys.
Uliamka tu hivi siku moja ukasema hapa hii ndio inabamba. Wekeni tent. Naendea speaker.
Also this is the other reason for leaving church. God has a kink for pain.
He does.
He just wants you people to go every day, mpige magoti, muombe. Hata job yako haiko hivyo. Ukienda job mwezi mzima unalipwa. And if you are lucky mnalipwanga every week. Lakini Mungu unakufa na uchochole tunaomba eti God eti
anajua ni kwa nini.
Eti God wanasemangaje, God tests his strongest soldier. Why? Again, it's why you are still
I am not strong. Leave me alone. I'm not strong.
Strongest soldier where? To go where? Eti anakujaribu juu anajua unaweza. Of course anajua unaweza, ndo anajua utavumilia. Ni lini utawin? Ni lini atakupea chenye unauliza? Watu wengine hata muulizi vitu mingi, unauliza tu upewe school fees ya mtoto wako. Ukiangalia vizuri school fees,
not even being greedy.
School fees ni 6k per term, lakini hata kumake hiyo 6k mtoto wako anashinda kifukuzwa shule. Alafu you are here telling me God what?
Mungu anajua sababu.
Just go to work.
Kwa nini nayapitia haya?
Go to work, negotiate with your boss so that your salary is better, so that you can somehow comfortably pay school fees for your child 6,000 and still pay rent and still do other things, including taking yourself out to have fun. Because let me tell you, venye hakujangi home kwako hata club hakujangi, hakuna kitu cha kufanyikia.
And there was a research that was done that said Scandinavian countries are less religious because their government provides what
exactly.
So your school fees uko imeprovidiwa na government. That's why they're not praying
access
to God.
To healthcare iko.
The only thing you'll be praying for is eternal life, which the government can't give you. Eternal life too.
Yeah.
They can just give you good health care and all that, but they can't give you eternal life. Do you know, I equate people's relationship with God. Wiki tumesema ni ya maana sana. I equate people's relationship with God as an abusive partnering. Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome.
Kind of, sort of. Ulianza vizuri, ulianza na roho.
Unamalizia na kila kitu si mwili pekee.
Sasa imagine, say for instance, if you're in a relationship with this person, yeah, the work dynamics hapo, the friendship dynamics hapo katika, your mom used to teach us those. group dynamics. Your friendship dynamics in that case unapata ni with an omnipotent, it's a relationship with an omnipotent being, omnipresent, all the omnis. Yeah, if he's all powerful, all seeing, almighty, yeah, why are people dying of hunger?
Like hata tutoe Ruto kwa equation.
He's a grain of sand in the grand scheme of things.
Bro, you have power. Stop this shit. You're killing us.
Sasa,
and if it's God trying to send you a message, why is he sending it like that?
SMS, we have technology.
Mbona our drought?
Watu wenye wanaiba ni kina Ruto. Mbona si
and they end up living longest. Hao wenye wanatocha watu, they end up to be living the longest lives, best lives ever. Their children prosper and flourish and all that. Let me tell you, unajua kama niko na relationship na umse, nashinda nimemtumia messages hajibu, ni blue ticks, hata si blue by then, ile tick moja. Hata ujui kama akona, ujui kama akona simu anymore.
Almost as if the receiver is dead.
One thing I say is that this person, well, God, ningekosho kuna mtu amekaa sauti kwa the other side of the screen. It's either
watatafuta a sign of Baphomet kwa ipo.
What conspiracy theorists by the way wanakula fiti. So imagine, eventually at some point you have to ask yourself, what I see prayer to be is a conversation with yourself, to find more clarity. Yeah, there's a way it quiets the noise. Yeah,
meditation.
It's more of a meditation kind of thing. Yeah, by talking about it or saying it out loud, sometimes you end up manifesting it. Yeah, in a way that, hey, by they saying it makes it more real, kind of thing. Unajua, I see prayer as that. The only way you won't look crazy when you're talking to yourself is by adding a recipient. Right? So when I tell people,
so glad I can say you're like crazy.
They're definitely crazy. But what they won't accept is that they're actually practically talking to themselves. And it's okay.
It's okay.
It has a purpose it serves. I sometimes say it's good, by the way, it's not completely bad that religion exists.
It's not
organized religion has for a while now provided
community.
Community. It has brought people together. There's good things that it does. It has built schools that look like prison camps. That's okay too, because people get to study.
It's how you're trying to praise them, but the more you praise them,
you really have to work hard to find something good to say about the church. You really have to work very hard to find something good to say, because well, there's one thing, anybody who went to a school built by the church will tell you. Yo mahali bwana, it was a camp. Zima. It was a camp, but that's besides the point. If he exists, he's totally blue ticking us.
Great tick.
Or one tick even.
Great
at this point, Ali move on. If he exists, he has to be the most cruel person ever to just see bad things happening to the people that he claims to very much love, and that his love lasts forever and all that bullshit. If he exists, kuna vitu mingi sana hatungehitaji intervention yake hata from the beginning.
It's true.
Hao wenye wanasema hao ndio wenye kuamini sana, now where Christianity came from, wamepitia shida mingi sana hii dunia. Wamepitia shida mingi sana bwana. How do you mean you are the chosen people, the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob, and all the other 12 sons? How do you mean bukapitia desert, longest route ever by the way? If you check somewhere where you should have taken about a week on foot to get there, they took so many days that 2 generations zilidedi. Do you see the children of your children ndio wanafika, the children of your children ndio wanafika mahali mnafaa kwenda through hadi atie ndio anawaongoza. Either GPS yake ilikuwa mbovu zaidi ama there's something was off.
All knowing.
We all knowing huyo. Something was off. Haya, achana na hiyo, because there's no concrete proof that slavery really happened in Egypt. But we move, but they remember it that way. Recollections may vary. Recollections may vary, but there's no concrete evidence that
it probably didn't. It, however, it is happening here right
what
now.
I know happened.
We are here. We are being slaves for no reason.
What I know happened for sure. What I know happened is hii mambo ya concentration camps. That happened to them. European Jews walikapitia. Bado hao ndio the chosen people. It really shows you who mwenye mnasema anawapenda aje, right? You wouldn't let someone who anyway eventually si wamescatter across the world, wamekuwa reduced by numbers, wakagrow again, wakapewa kashamba kadogo, sasa hao ndio oppressors. Anyway, nitaingia kwa politics tukienda hivyo. But imagine these are the people who claim to be the godliest of the godliest. How ndio the basis, or they actually shun Christianism. How ndio the basis of the God we are trying to believe in.
That's what you're...
For them, Christianity, the Messiah hasn't come for them yet, so it's cool. But you claim to love an all-loving God, an all-caring God, and then you do these things to other human beings. And I tell people,
like you've gone even
love your neighbors, you love yourself. What happened to that?
Thank you. Be very look at it from
it's in
your
the Torah,
day to
right?
day. Wachana na hata hiyo mambo ya people, we are lazy in Kenya. People might not want to read or find out the truth because our parents are that old, and my mother didn't know at her age pastors wanalipwa. So you can imagine the level of ignorance we're dealing with. We're not asking you to go research.
It's systemic.
Just normal things. The way I sat down and asked myself, okay, God is blessing me. Why isn't God blessing Adrian? And to me, that didn't make sense, and that was enough for me to step back. Because I was like, just look at the things you're doing every day. Okay, Mungu ametuma floods itufunze. Imetufunza nini? Why would he punish us like that to teach us a lesson? Like there's a better way. Even you as a parent how do you teach your kids? Do you teach your kids by drowning them? There's easier ways that you can see God in your day-to-day life, and that extremism should make you question at some point.
They say that God is light, and I normally tell people, I think me living church was intentional and it's a choice I made. But I think I've been preached for more when I'm out of church than I'm in church. And I normally ask these people, why are you pursuing me? You say God is light. If I saw light, trust me, I'll go where
walk
light
to
is.
it, yeah.
But like, why do you
That
keep?
makes sense.
Why do you people keep following me? Immediately, I sit in a room, even if I'm not talking to these people, but they get to learn
They
a bit
seek
about
you
me, and
out.
they know. Now they feel entitled to come and tell me. In fact, there's a lady, I don't remember her name. I remember where I met her, but I don't want to say that because, But she kept on telling me, from the way you speak, you will make a very good pastor. And I'm like, I just told her, God forbid.
Oh, I get that a lot. I get that.
told
Only
her,
you'd make a perfect
Tell
Christian.
your God to forbid that she can't make me a pastor. Because what do you mean? And the concept of it, for me, I think the biggest struggle is, and you highlighted that, the concept of talking to yourself, the concept of God and belief in religion, all of it kind of makes you see something or someone as bigger all the time at your own expense. Something is happening. The concept of self-made, where people were coming out and saying, I'm self-made, I worked hard, I invested, or I started a business from scratch, and now I'm here. And Christians will insert themselves in that and be like, you can't say
It's not you.
you're self-made. God made it possible. Well, God must be very lazy because there's many business people who are failing. And then I put a lot of effort. I was smart. I was consistent. I was I had terrible times because my business has failed like 10 times. And then you're here telling me it's God. Where was God the 10 times I was failing because I didn't deserve to fail the 10 times?
You know, the problem is we have this collective imaginary friend.
Not mine.
He's our bestie. All of us.
Eventually, it became a collective consciousness.
Yeah.
Even without being told, you start feeling like, okay, maybe, you see, you can't conclusively say that he doesn't exist, because as in, hata watoi huona things we can't see. Some kids see wanaongeleshaga hewa na kwapo,
But like,
it's none of my business.
But isn't that evidence that God is people?
Exactly, I was getting to that. You see, now, what gap does God fill in the human existence? Number one, the mystery of life and death. Yes?
Makes sense.
Very difficult to explain, even though it's just sperm and ovaries and birth canal done. Right? We know that's how life happens.
Product of what he likes calling fornication.
The bigger one that is harder to explain is not even death. It's what happens after death. That's where God comes in also.
But like, why do people care so much for those things?
It's because there's that fear of the unknown. Fear of the before. Where was I before? And where will I be after?
You were somewhere in your father's knees. It's literally that he hasn't had sex yet.
We all knew that, yeah? But then again, unapata, the concept of life and death makes people want to believe in God very badly. Yeah.
And it's okay to find your centering in something.
And that's fine. Spiritualism is very healthy because it's more of being aware of and conscious of your inner self.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying this person, God is man-made in this way. Angalia, every community that had their deity, local deity, alikuwa of their own complexion. And look, either kama ni, if the society was matriarchal, it was a goddess. Yeah, if the society the gods imitated
looks like
our social setup.
It's a literal extension of who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, you look at them, you see yourself. They look at you, they see themselves.
Now you see, that's the reason why it's man-made. If you stop believing, they stop existing.
Yeah. It's as
Simple as that. Stop believing, they stop existing. And now that's the scariest part. Because once I stop believing and they stop existing, where am I going to live my eternal life? Nobody knows what to do. And that's my biggest problem.
Anymore, Kenya, there's a lot to do with yourself after.
My biggest problem with people who are super religious is the fact that they don't understand that morality does not come from Christianity.
Yeah.
Yani, unimse God akisema akuue, atakuua.
That's true.
As in the little voices in their head, and they conceive that to be God, atakumada.
Yeah.
But haoni, kuna live and let live kind of harmony here going on. If I harm you, and you harm me, what kind of society do we have here? Morality tu kidogo, wanafikiria it has to come from the 10 Commandments. No, it's not founded on the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments are founded on basic morality concepts.
It's literally a research concept.
Basic
Someone looked
concepts.
at people and saw what are the things people value the most. Then did
sitaki nifanyiwe.
Yeah.
Sitafanyiana.
Like literally, yeah.
Simple.
Lakini pia akajidanganya kwa sababu then alisema sitafanyiana, then went ahead to build a whole system that is founded on zero accountability.
So now you see, that's the thing I'm saying. Easy vitu. We have man-made problems from up in heaven to down below. Everywhere. And we are here. And I feel like also it highlights the the intellectual laziness that people somehow are comfortable in. Like you see it every day. You have daily experiences, and like you said, spirituality is very important because it heightens your ability to be aware about who you are as a person, but also the environment you occupy. And that's a beautiful thing, because when you have that, then you sort of have the capacity to decipher so many things around you that an average person won't be able to do that, because they're constantly thinking if something happens and be a god. In fact, God gaslights you into apologizing, because in the same way he tells you najaribu my strongest soldier is the same way he tells you umesahau Mungu when something bad is happening to you. Go apologize for literally nothing. And I remember, was it sometime last year but one, it's why I stopped following this Swiri Nyarkano person, because there's an episode she did akisema when you are sick, like when your body is sick, you are responsible for it, your thoughts and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, in what world is someone sitting? And I think I was more vulnerable and more emotional then, because I think it was last year but one, 2022. And it was barely a year since my diagnosis. I'm still vulnerable. I'm still maneuvering. You know, when you are living with chronic pain, there's so much you're figuring out all at once. And so I'm very vulnerable. And then I'm watching my own TikTok, using my own data, using my own phone, my hard-earned money to listen to someone tell me I am sick because of what I was thinking about. I don't remember thinking I want to be sick. I don't remember thinking that. And so when I was listening to that, and I was like, all that is okay because she's in her platform doing her thing. But like, we don't realize that how we exist as a people, there's so much that is happening in the world. We see, we experience, we feel, but we are constantly trapped. For Gen X's and lower, it's a trope. I call it a trope because I know you understand that language better. It's like in some trope where it's a must to believe in something bigger than yourself. If you don't, no, like for most Christians, yes, for them it's like it's a must. Lazima ni believe in something bigger than myself because I'm not that big. I'm ridiculous to think I can be that big. And I'm like, all the power you carry puts you in a position where nobody should question your bigness because you exist as a human being. The fact that you exist, that's just as much as the biggest it could ever get. And then now you have all these other worries. You're like, what happens after here? You never worried about being here before you are here. Why are you worried about where you'll be before you get there?
Nobody cared before you got here. You got here, you cried the first thing because I'm sure you were realizing, oh shit.
Yeah, what the hell?
I fucked up.
Imagine kuna mtoto alizaliwa Lemuru.
I fucked up.
July.
Yeah. And then now the first thing you have to do is cry because you're like, oh shit. And now your whole life, you kind of find ways to minimize your capacity as a human being over and over and over and over again and become a slave. Colonialism is one thing in it. See what I did there? Is one thing, but then there's you constantly colonizing yourself and every working day you remind yourself of how minute you are against the world that you're supposed to be the biggest thing to ever exist. And it doesn't make sense. And then now you tie that to this God that you believe in, and God is the one who has given me all these things. Do you remember the night studies in high school when you suffered through those prep times? And you're here invalidating your whole existence.
The warmer the bed, the colder the future. I mean, I slept, and I promise you now, my bed is still warm.
And the future is fine.
In fact, niko na podcast.
What are you telling us? In fact, niko podcast.
But wait, you said something about, you've mentioned Surinyarkano, and I think I should also mention that. That's why I said church or faith. We also have to be very careful when we're living one thing for another thing that's about the same thing. Because when Sweetie Nyarkano began and she was going into traditional African religion and she was exploring all of that, it was very beautiful to just go back and learn our history. Yes. But then I saw her grow into an extreme, what do you call it? That religion of Africa now. Yeah. It's extreme to the sense that it's now not so different from what you left in Christianity.
It's the same way, going around making people victims of existing the way that they do, and it's crazy to watch things like that happen. And for me, I think that's also the other thing, because I remember when I left church for a moment there between 2013 and 2014, I did say I'm an atheist. But then the reason I got off that bus too and decided walking is best here because I see everything by myself, I'm not being shown by nobody, is because even with atheism, it's people who come together to not believe in God. And for me, the whole concept of a belief outside of self is problematic.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want
and I tell people, whatever it is that you are, the minute you join a WhatsApp group for that community, it's over. Yeah, you are no longer existing in your truth. You're now a group of people carrying a particular.
Allow yourself to miss out. Like FOMO is very important because you're not really missing out. It's things that have nothing to do with you. If they were supposed to happen to you, for you, and with you, trust me, you wouldn't be feeling like you're missing out because you'll be right at the center of where it's happening. But the reason you're not there is because it has nothing to do with you. So exist in yourself. Every day you wake up, it's how we've come up with many. When you're resting, people say you're lazy, and I'm like, lazy where? We've been taught to please everyone except ourselves. To work at all times, and small joys, small things that give you happiness, like a warm cup of tea at home, even when you don't have a TV, to just sit with your thoughts and think, seems like a bad thing to do because people are always expecting you to be going somewhere, to be seeking something, to be belonging somewhere other than belonging to yourself first. And
learn to shed off guilt. Yeah, because that's the one thing that will plague you the most. Because if you are Christian, even all of us can bear witness. If you were when we started now distancing from the church, there was a lot of guilt. Everything you did, you second guessed, and there was a lot of, am I going in the right way? So learn to shed off guilt, even as you choose things. The same way you've said, sometimes you just want to sleep, and sleep is associated with laziness. You have to choose to unlearn guilt, to do things for yourself and not feel guilty about it. And this will apply to multiple things in your life. When you get to a toxic workplace that you need to leave, it's not about you not having, I don't know, not being the the breadwinner of the family anymore. It's about you choosing your sanity, and we'll figure it out, and shed that guilt. When you need to cut off a particular family member because they're behaving funny, shed off that guilt. I tell a lot of people, unlearn guilt, because even these people, these perpetrators, I promise you, Ruto goes to bed and sleeps. Anangorota.
Okay.
Now you're racking your brains over something that you've done for yourself. There's someone out there who's literally ruining lives and sleeps and they drool. So
and the best way to unlearn that guilt is when you learn to honor yourself. The journey of honoring yourself sheds off a lot of guilt you feel for unnecessary things. You're like, it's even how the concept of emergency is founded on how people respond to you as opposed to how you respond to the said emergency. Like someone will text you at 2 a.m. in the morning, babe, pick up, it's an emergency. Whose emergency?
Who?
It's true, what you're going through is an emergency to you. Mine is sleeping. I am sleeping. And it's around all the. That's why our hospital is there. If it's an emergency and you need to go to the hospital, go to the hospital. Those are the people who are capacitated to answer to your emergency. Me, the reason I'm at home is because being at home is in my emergency. The reason I didn't go out is because it's my emergency. The reason I'm sleeping is because it's my the reason I'm talking here today is because it's my emergency. If it wasn't an emergency, singekuwa hapa, ningekuwa kwingine. Because people's, yes, the world is happening. Bad things are happening to people. But they're happening to people just as much as they're happening to you.
True.
So, unlearn that guilt of othering yourself at the expense of yourself for other people. Kila kitu kifanyika, nani. And then, watu, kunakumbuka hiyo time ya COVID tu, bado watu waliuliza, kuna meme ilikuwa ina go around, watu wanaeka kwa post zao, who is the most important person in your life? And I watched people answering other people constantly. Who's the most important person in your life? My husband, my wife, my mother, the child I lost, the miscarriage I had. There's everyone who is important to you, and you're not important to yourself. Because the list should always be in reverse. It should be you are on top there, then everyone else.
Constantly.
And every decision you make in life should always be you.
You first.
God notwithstanding. Even if you believe in God, God should come after yourself.
And doesn't he live in you?
It should be secondary to your existence. Unapea mse home bila rent, alafu unajifanya hapa yeye ni more important kukuliko.
Just remember, if you stop believing, they stop existing. happy life.
Karibu tuseme happy wife, then I remember it's Kenya. They're probably not so happy.
And there's one, I don't know if you've had the experience with it, but there's this one thing I've remembered that was my experience in church. There's almost this unspoken pressure for getting married. And when especially girls are not married by around 25, 26.
And in church too.
So there's and in our church it happened that there used to be a streak. So watu wako kwa youth pamoja, the first wedding iki happen from that day, there's a wedding every other month. Mpaka youth waishe by your group. I don't know what unspoken language it is. And then I also feel like it plays into, religion has played heavy on even GBV that we have right now, because divorce is completely unthought of. And vumilia.
And you will shame your family, you will shame the church.
You can't keep a home.
You can't keep a home. And you see, that's also it's a woman thing. I don't know, like I felt like the church, honestly, I just felt like the church was not for me as a girl. And I've always told my friend who, they were not raised strict, but you can carry this social experiment. Look at your friends' circles and see the friends who religion was not strict in their families. They're a bit better balanced than some of us. I grew up in a family where my mom stands at the door at 7 or 8. Na anasema nikifunga hii mlango kila mtu akwe nje. And you must go to church. There must be family devotion. So for me, faith is not only something that I needed to step away from to find myself. Faith is also very traumatic.
Yes.
It was pushed down my throat. I didn't understand why we're doing the things we're doing.
Too much coercion.
But I had to do it, and I had to be there, and I had to believe, and I had to show up, and there is no there's no autonomy in the church. Because you sing, you need to sing in the church. Because you do this, you need to serve in the church. I didn't have choices. I didn't have leo mi siendi church, leo nimechoka, leo sina sauti. You didn't have that. And I think people just need to realize, parents, I'm usually keen on parents, because you're raising a generation that will exist when probably we're not even here. Be very keen not to push down things like faith down your children's throat. Let them find it out for themselves. Or rather, if you're a believer, funze kidogo kidogo, pray for your food. This is how to pray. Don't push it down their throats, because us as people who grew up in those strict families,
we don't want them
those
anymore.
Strict Christian families, we know. Look at us right now. Pesa yote inaenda therapy. Hii shida gani?
Ilitoka kwa God ikaenda
I have a question. Umesema kitu mzuri sana, and it's something we'd have probably not mentioned. You see, we like to pass down, well, we have already passed down most of the genetic information through the union of two parents. Kuna information about culture, how to do things, and the like, and the like, and the like, that we pass down to our progenies, our children, the like, or the next generation rather. Yeah, if you haven't had children, the next generation to say, whoever you're nurturing. Sasa, question comes in here. At what point do we call what our parents are doing to us by making church mandatory? At what point do we call it indoctrination? At what point
From
do
the
we
beginning.
say, Rojo, mostly indoctrination was used in this way, that wherever you came from, your Christian family that you came from, if you go somewhere else, where you were born Catholic, if you go somewhere else where PCA is the dominant denomination, trying to get you from Catholic to PCA is what was looking like it's indoctrination, while pretty much wasn't. Indoctrination means kuna clean slate, una imprint. You're already ulikuwa indoctrinated tiari. By the time you're getting to that place where they want to convert you to PCA, to AIC, to SDA and the like. Kwanza ile ilikuwa na washtua kabisa to death ni their children turning to Islam. Hey, unataka kuwa terrorist, unakuwa recruited, boy, ombeeni mtoto wangu.
Me, that is I felt like that is better to me. That made more sense to me. If you panic that your child is going to change to another religion, what made no sense to me is the panic that came when I wanted to change to another denomination.
Hata hiyo inakuwa shida.
Isn't the God? Isn't this one God?
Inaletaga shida.
Yani kutoka tu AIC kwenda Catholic itafanya muniitie elders muniombe. Isn't it the same God?
You're Christians, both of them.
Like,
so
me, it was wild to me, and I'm just like, even within yourself, you can't find a common voice within your own religion, and you think you'll go out to try and recruit people from other religions to believe in you.
Yep.
I think
wazazi wao wanasikia aje mkiwaiba kutoka kwa dini zao.
I think all of it is founded on the same thing we've been saying here, and I like saying this a lot. Even with parents, we're a society that accountability is more foreign than we like to acknowledge. And so when it comes down to the wire, there's people we feel like are above accountability. And you know what? The why? It's because of the indoctrination you're speaking about.
Yeah.
Already, the reason we are told we have to be in churches and all that kind of stuff is because of religion. It's because of these things that people who brought us to this world believe in, and they think we should share those beliefs. And like you said also, I don't think it's entirely a bad thing, because I feel like there's, for your parent, for example, there's a part where they're more informed about specific experiences. However, I think the bad thing is what you said earlier. Okay, fine, then tell me, and then let me make my own choices.
That's your kid.
And the literally indoctrination is telling people things and then forcing them into those things. Whereas the right thing to do that will make it not indoctrination is when you tell them and then you leave them to it. It's like when you're
church members.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Sadaka inadili.
How we say all the time choices have consequences, but church never gives people room to have choices. It's like choices have consequences, but like never will you give me a room to make choices. So then what does it matter? Consequences don't matter here because I will never make a choice. And it cuts across even with parents. And that's why I say when you look at it, many, and I'm speaking hugely about millennial parents currently. I know we have parents who are younger than millennials, the Gen X's and all that. But people who are parenting young children at the moment, I've had a lot of you saying on social media especially, wait until you have a child, you'll understand. No, I will not understand. And that's the thing. Your child will never understand.
The same energy I give you,
yes.
Give your child.
So don't repeat the cycle that your parents put you through. In the name of that you're a parent. What you should be doing is finding the courage. You found the courage and the confidence to bring a whole human child to the world. Dig deeper and find the courage to do it differently.
Yeah.
It might not have the best outcomes anyway, but you can pride in the fact that you didn't do the same things that were done to you in the name of your parenting.
Newsflash, we did not turn out okay.
We did not.
We did not turn out okay. Look what happened. We did not. We did not. We are very broken people out here, bwana.
Yeah.
You just have to touch the right nerve and boom, it crumbles.
Yeah, that's true. And we also have to recognize that even as our parents did that, to them it was also done to them. In fact, for them, walipigwa na the white man. Walipigwa ndo hiyo unapigwa ukipewa Bible. So for them, maybe they just passed it down and never really understood. But for us who have information now, honestly, hata nilikuwa nasema, I said on TikTok, honestly looking at the tactics Akina Ruto are using at the moment, it is insulting to us to think that right now I can literally generate text on AI. Now you are using a tactic that was used by Moi in 1990. It is insulting to the evolution of technology.
Or by the colonizer.
Yeah, so yes, your parents did that. They didn't know any better, ni sawa. But
you know better.
You have more information. You have better exposure.
And
you
we've
have
done this podcast. Listen to it and do better.
Ama niwaulize. Ama polisi wakichapa watu wanachapa tu makosa, sio sisi.
It's funny because being queer, that's all you ever hear. God hates the sin, not the sinner. Dude, nichukie tu mi wote kabisa. I am fine. I am good where I am.
Makosa wanachapa.
Also the idea shida niko nayo na kusema wanachapa makosa. Hizi makosa wanachapa hawachapi zao wenyewe wakifanya, wanachapa zenye wengine wanafanya. It's why I am big on coming back to yourself. The journeys of death to self and life to self. Very, very important. Because when you come back to yourself, before, najua mnapenda kurifa kwa history yenye sijui Jesus alisema, if you have no sin, be the first to cast a stone. And it's all beautiful until when you think about it deeper and then you realize it's not even about sinning. It's about the fact that it's wrong overall to cast stones at people.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't matter how much you disagree with anything.
Ungepata mtu kweli hana sin.
Yes.
Si angerusha
mawe alafu.
Lakini nani alisema huyo mtu hana sin?
Exactly.
By what standard?
Because the concept ya kutokuwa na sin ni venye watu wanakujaja supposed to venye unajifikiria mwenyewe.
Exactly. Wao ndio wameamua ulikosea.
Niko na sin so natulia juu najua niko come on now. Na kitambo hizo days sin zilikuwa vitu weird kama ku have sex. Sex is not a sin.
Small susu.
The reason we've come up with weird concepts like sijui sex work is not work, sijui it's criminal, sijui nini, and words like prostitution that looks to, ostracize people who voluntarily
Asaizo.
Voluntarily
greatest grandmother wa Yesu alikuwa nani?
Alikuwa prostitute.
Rahab.
I mean,
yep, greatest grandma. Rahab wa Jericho.
And it's also the oldest profession in the book.
Yes. And then watu wanakubaliana na kupea susu na nipea pesa.
Hata in the beginning. God alikuwa pimp bwana. Aliona Adam ako bwana unakaa kaja si niko na kadema hapa unaweza
kupa
and then wewe
alianza out as kuwa pimp.
I know. And then wewe uko na mtu umekutana naye tunampenda, unampea susu yako bure, mahari hajalipa, anakuchapanga, anakutesanga, unalala njaa na bado mlipopata watoto akakuacha. Sasa wewe ni single parent.
But it is all in God's plan.
Come on. Learn to be the kind of a person who says, kama unagonga mtu mgonge juu ameshika vitu zako. Lakini kama haja interfere na existence yako, achana na hata sisi magays tuachane. Imagine hatuja kufanya nini? Tuko tu, tunapumua, tunaona susu za wenye tunataka kuona.
Na sumbui mtu.
Na wanataka tuone susu zao. Na tusumbui mtu. It is what it is, man.
Hii podcast itaitwa the susu.
Iitwe asusu. Mungu hayupo.
Ama iitwe kama iPhone isusu ni yangu.
Ilikuwa inaenda aje asusu. Mungu. Perfect topic.
Hey, my Lord.
Like in the grand scheme of things, it's not about you. It has nothing to do about you. And when you learn to live your life worrying mostly about yourself, and in incidences where you've been invited to worry about other people, your life will be much easier. Because the only time you have worries is when it's your worry or it's a person who has told you, please help me worry about this. And trust me, there's 8 billion of us. Chances of less than 10 people coming to you to tell you to worry about them are very high.
Yeah.
But when you create a culture of worrying about everyone, not even your government that you voted in, you're worrying about Nara Smith, Nakosiju Api. You're worried about Sam Smith because you think how he dresses, how they dress Smiths. Rather, is a problem. And you're not even, you hauna rent your end month. But where you're drawing the line is worrying about your shit. You're worrying about the world that has nothing, literally, most of the time to do with you.
Yeah.
When that happens, you realize God is a concept, not a complex.
Do you?
You said it. Podcast.
It's literally just a concept.
Yeah.
And you can exist in your highest power. And if God too is about high power, why are you not in your high power?
Yeah.
Pastor Marylize too many sadaka 310. Mwache kutumia kanyari.
Mnaona hiyo namba hapo chini.
Weka namba hapo.
Cheza kama wewe.
Now to be 310. I also saw nimekumbuka video niliona jana. Someone had said at the God Leah. You remember when I said when I see someone's status and it's a child of God. Yeah. The God Leah, the status, the Lucifer. The person.
I do agree. It's actually even a tunnel.
Enda tu angalie Twitter. Any vile comment from anyone or some shit. Mtu amesema kitu ya ujinga. Enda tu angalie profile yake. Child of God, father, husband. Ow! Dangerous people. Oh my, dangerous.
Imagine labda uko huko hivyo nje unani unataka kunismash but umeandika God kwa timeline yako. So mimi siwezi kuja hapo kwa sababu kwangu yangu nimeandika God doesn't live here.
Hey, my Lord.
No, my Facebook says that God doesn't reside here because he doesn't. So if you're coming here to look for God, unless it's me, I'm a concept and I believe I'm a God concept.
Yeah.
So if you want that, but if you're looking for your God, when tunapiga magoti, I can only kneel for one thing. I shall not say it here.
There's children watching.
I shall not say it.
We will be back after this commercial break.
Get on your knees.
I do get on my knees more often than you'd like to imagine. However, it's not for prayer.
Go on your knees. Go on your knees in Dubai.
You will get
On a yacht. In a thong.
you will twerk.
Hebu tufunge podcast kabla podcast ifungwe.
Nani anafunga na maombi?
Pray for us, bro. Tuombe brother.
Baada jina yako ingekuwa poa sana na brother, but look at your life.
I'm a Reverend Adrian.
Ingekuwa na prefix ya
See,
brother.
I'd look good in a cassock. I'd look good in a cassock.
Alafu hiyo ndevu hiyo bas. All the slay queens, as they like to call them.
Mimi watapenda injili yangu. Mimi watapenda injili yangu very much. It will come off very aggressive.
But guys,
by the way, I'm wearing a suit. I know I'd make a good pastor, except let me not do it.
But right now, see, we can start
Chukua ile kanisa ya Natasha.
Inakuja na Natasha like as bibi in a church. I get all that I want in one. Hi Natasha, natuma salamu. Wewe ndo watatu ni wapendao.
Because God is love, he loves everyone. We are loved too.
Father, Son and the Holy Spirit, they all live in you. Watatu ni wapendao.
Love is love. Oh my Lord. Please.
If they sue you, I'll be a witness.
Kama nani? Wanamsu kama nani? Unajua sahi niko sure. Unajua their biggest fear, by the time they were getting to the first hour of the episode, their biggest fear was hiyo radi inatokea wapi?
And now it's all scattered.
Hiyo radi inatokea wapi from that God of love? Wenye wanaamini hiyo radi inatokea wapi?
Wakamba wana radi kwa sababu wana mvua. Radi ni uchawi ya
kumekauka.
Sawa ni
uchawi ya kisi kwa na radi.
Maybe.
Could be. Makes sense.
Able to forget podcast, please. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. Yeah, that brings us to the end of our 2.0 why I left faith or church. It's been very, I think, thank you guys, because at least we've touched on quite a number of bases.
Thank you guys.
Whatever works.
And it is okay.
It works too.
It is okay.
Yeah.
Pepe Juliano Musim.
Why are you gay?
Guys, why are you so ungovernable?
Tumewacha.
Thank you so much for coming. We hope it is insightful. If you've caught a feeling, then know you have something to work on within yourself. And find out discernment is key. Know when someone is just taking your money. We can even pose a challenge to the listeners. Can you mobilize people in your church and not remove tithes and offerings for a while and see the true colors of your people? Thank you very much. But thank you guys for coming.
Tupeleka maandamano kanisani.
Mpeleke, by the way. Oh, there was a concern at some point that some of the churches were complaining young people are leaving the church, especially this recently.
And they will keep living.
When church didn't stand.
And we are standing that. Let them live.
Yeah. The next time someone comes and campaigns and tells you yeye ni nabii, uzuri mumejionea na macho sasa. Munajua. And until next, there's no next time. This is the last episode.
Yeah, this is the last episode.
Yeah.
But also before we finish.
Last episode of what?
Of season 4 of the In All Honesty podcast.
Ruto must go. Ruto utaenda by the bro. Utaenda.
Reject.
Bye. Boy, bye.
Bye.
Boy, bye.
Until season 5, it will still be here. Peace in the Middle East.
Next on the In All Honesty podcast.
We are closing in on season 4, and next week we will be talking about adulting for money, what it looks like just generally. Are you in the 8 to 5? Are you running a business? Are you in consultancy? Are you in freelance? Like, what has life looked like just trying to hustle, gaining different experiences? What insights have you learned? What are the lessons you have in working an 8 to 5 or running your own business or trying to switch between the two. So if you are the kind of person who like just has gone through the motions of it, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned in life that are taking you through how you're gaining your money right now and how you're investing or rather managing your money? Let's talk about adulting for money. What has your experience been like? And I guess you can always reach out to me through my DMs at OLAVEORAWO, and you can also send me your stories through my email at olaveorawo@gmail.com.
Do you hear that? Would you lend me some coins, please? The In All Honesty podcast needs you to continue running. I will deeply appreciate support from you. You can send monetary contributions to my Mpesa +254 728 171 059 via PayPal at OLAVEORAWO. That is OLAVEORAWO. You can support the podcast indirectly by buying merchandise and services I offer listed on my WhatsApp catalog. My WhatsApp number is +254 728 171 059. Did you think I'd forget? Advertise with the In All Honesty podcast. Hit me up to talk about it. You can do that via WhatsApp +254 728 171 059 or via email olaveorawo@gmail.com, or you can also DM me on socials at olaveorawo. You know, the hand that gives will receive an episode every week. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in what was once a dream. So if I do some quick math, the future equals a dream come true. Since 1992, In All Honesty, a podcast by OLAVEORAWO.